Before this video starts, if you enjoy this video, there are many more like it already on the channel, with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. I upload almost daily on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is the place for it. Also, drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second, and it makes a massive difference. Today, we are talking about what is next for the San Antonio Spurs. If you've been around this channel for a while, you would know that the Spurs have been one of my favorite teams to talk about for a while because I think they're in a very interesting situation based off of their past history versus where they're at now, the future with Greg Popovich, the kind of talent that they have on this team. I think this is a very interesting case of, like, clearly this is a team hanging on the edge, but can you really blame them because they have this playoff streak? Obviously, well, unless they pull something off amazing, they're not going to have that streak anymore after this season because they did get invited to the play-in tournament thing, I believe. But the Spurs have a concoction of some established older talent as well as some younger guys. The older talent obviously being DeMar DeRozan and Lamarcus Aldridge. DeMar is 30 and Aldridge is 34, both getting up there in age. And I don't know if DeRozan took his player option or not. I think I saw something about that in the news, but if he did, then you're going to have to trade him. If not, then just let him go. The younger guys that we have to talk about are Derek White, Deshante Murray, Jakob Hurdle, Lonnie Walker, Lucas Samanic, Kelvin Johnson, and that's pretty much it. So Deshante Murray had an interesting year this season. He started off the year averaging like 18 points per game coming back of his injury, and then he really slowed back down to where now he's just a 10.6 rebound, 4 assist guy, which is certainly a valuable player to have. He also had his first good three-point shooting season of his career, but good is kind of a stretch because he only took 1.6 a game. But he did shoot 38%, so at least you can't leave him completely wide open because he's probably going to make it if he's wide open. Derek White was pretty damn disappointing this year. Granted, his opportunity was not as much as you would like it to be, but he showed a lot of flashes at the end of last season as well as in the playoffs, and then come this season and he's still getting just 24 minutes a game, averaging just 10 points and 3.5 assists per game. He's shot okay from three. He shot okay overall. He's a weird player where there's like not a lot of things that he is like very good at, but there's really nothing that he's bad at, and he has a lot of moments where it's like, yeah, I could see this guy being a star level player, but I really think with him those are just moments, so there's that. And that really applies to Deshante as well. I don't think either of these guys are really future star players. I think they're both future very valuable role players. And because of that, I don't think they're really the type of young talent that makes you say, okay, we can stay established because one day we'll have Derek White and Deshante Murray. Like, they're not so good that you can sit there and wait for a while and not rebuild because those guys are going to be there eventually, because those guys are not going to be good enough to be your two best players on your team, not to mention the fact that they kind of play the same position and play similarly in terms of how much they dribble the ball. But outside of those guys, for the young guys, there's also Jakob Hurdle. He is pretty damn good in the advanced stats, and it seems like he should be getting more minutes. It doesn't help that Lamarcus Aldridge is on this team, and if you're a backup center in the modern NBA, you really can't play any other position, and centers really don't play any other position, so as a result, you're really only going to play like 15 minutes a game if you're a good backup center. And in the case of Jakob, that's what's going on with him, but he's a pretty damn good rebounder, solid enough finisher, shoots 62%, and he's a good defensive player, and I feel like at the age of 24, they should be giving him some more opportunity, and we'll get to that in a second. But there's also Lonnie Walker. He's been good in the G League, apparently, has had very little opportunity in the NBA thus far. He played 53 games this year on 14 minutes a game. That's not a whole lot. Shot 40% from three in that brief amount of time, though. So he definitely seems like he has some potential to be a scoring threat, but we haven't seen much of him yet, and I definitely wouldn't bet a future on that guy. Lucas Samanic only played in the G League. I think he's a power forward with some creating ability, at least a three-point shot. Don't know a whole lot about him. And then Kelvin Johnson seemed like he could be a 3-and-D prospect, but once again, not a whole lot of minutes for the guy or a whole lot of games. 9 games, 10 minutes played a game, so not a whole lot of opportunity for him as well. But with that said, basically this is a roster with a bunch of established guys. There's also Rudy Gay, Marco Bellinelli, and Bryn Forbes, as well as Patty Mills, and Trey Lyles. I guess he's young too, but I don't think he's going to get much better. Who are all some older, more established role players in the league. And because of that, and because of the Spurs' insistence on remaining competitive, I think some of the younger guys on this roster have suffered as a result, because most of the shots, over 30 shots a game, have been going to DeMar DeRozan and Lamarcus Aldridge, despite the fact that you have some young guys that you want to develop here. And I think the move here is to rebuild and get rid of some of these guys like DeMar DeRozan and Lamarcus Aldridge, probably get something for Rudy Gay as well, and then you can definitely make some adjustments to allow guys like Deshante Murray and Derek White to maybe improve their games a good bit, give Jakob Hurdle some time to prove himself, get some minutes for Lonnie Walker, Samanic, and Kelvin Johnson. But as of right now, with this team as it is, the young guys are not going to get a whole lot of opportunity, and the old guys are not going to make you a great team. So I feel like sitting as you are right now just is not the solution, because you're not going to be a good, at the very best, you're going to be like a 7th seed in the West, and you're going to lose in the first round every year. Do you really want to sit around and do that for the next 3 seasons with an aging Lamarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan? Because I don't think those guys even want to do that. DeMar, if he leaves in free agency, then he leaves and you're done with him. Lamarcus Aldridge this year, 39% from 3 on 3 attempts. This is really the first season of his career where he's been a legitimate 3-point threat, and he actually closed out the season shooting a lot of 3-pointers. I don't think he started the season doing this. If that can be a thing, his value instantly goes up as a modern-day center, because he's a center that can score one-on-one, but also shoot threes and play respectable enough defense, grab a respectable amount of rebounds, and things of that nature. Bryn Forbes is 26 years old, but he is a very good 3-point shooter, so you could definitely get some value out of him, or you could just hold on to him because he's not so old that you have to get rid of him. But 39% from 3 on 6 attempts, that is very good to see in the modern NBA. Patty Mills, 38% from 3 on 6 attempts, definitely a good leader on top of that, so you could definitely get probably a late first round pick for him. Depends on what's available, but backup point guard of his caliber is definitely highly valued on the market. Rudy Gay, he has made some adjustments with the Spurs to be a pretty good role player. Hasn't shot well from 3 this year. He did the season prior, so he'll definitely have some value. I don't know about a first round pick. I guess it depends. He's getting up there in age as well. And Marco Bellinelli, I don't think you can get much for him. He's always been a weird player to me. But basically, the point I'm getting at here is you need to rebuild. And looking down the line to the future, I think you really got to find somebody in this draft or next year's draft that's going to be your franchise player, because I think Greg Popovich is going to retire pretty sooner rather than later. And as I said, I don't think Deshante Murray or Derek White or Jakob Hurdle or Lonnie Walker are going to be these franchise level players that you can build around. I think maybe Lonnie Walker has that potential, but he's played so little that I wouldn't put my money on it. But there's definitely a chance with opportunity next year that he'll show himself to have that ability. But you have to give him that ability to showcase himself. But as I was saying, drafting is really where this team needs to land a good pick, and the Spurs have typically been pretty good at drafting. A lot of the guys like Derek White and Deshante Murray came later in the first round. I believe Murray was more towards the teens, but whatever. Jakob Hurdle was in a trade, but yeah, and then Lonnie Walker was also later, and he seems pretty good. Luka might have some potential, so this team's pretty good at drafting late, so I imagine if you have a higher pick, they'd be even better at spotting talent. Greg Popovich leaving is going to be a hit. Maybe Becky Hammond takes over. Maybe it's somebody else. I would like to see her get a chance because I think she's a pretty damn good coach. But this is definitely a team with a weird predicament. I definitely have been in favor of them going in the direction of rebuilding. I'm not going to take the normal stance I do with the Spurs, which is an I told you so, because I have. But this is definitely a team that needs to make some adjustments and look towards the future and stop focusing on keeping a playoff streak, because it's going to end this year unless they manage to win all 8 games. Even then, I think it might not be possible because they're pretty damn low down. It depends on the results of everything else, but whatever. So stop focusing on the past, focus on the future. This team is no longer a contender at any capacity. Trading Kawhi Leonard for DeMar DeRozan was a massive mistake, and you really do not want to keep making that mistake by sticking to it when it was clearly a mistake. Like, trading for DeMar DeRozan with Kawhi Leonard is bad enough, then wasting a couple of years with him makes it even double worse. You know what I'm trying to say. But that's the Spurs, what they should do in the future. Basically blow it up, look to the draft, hope to get some gems because the Spurs are pretty good at that. Turn some of these established players into later picks that they're also pretty good at drafting with, so you can get some more talent. And look to the future with the coach, because it seems like Greg Popovich is going to retire sooner rather than later. But that is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.